Hi, everybody. At Skating PJ here. I am so excited for this particular live session. First of all, because it is the very first time that we are having a sponsor for one of our live sessions here at Skate Ontario. So we want to thank the Community app, one of our Glide sponsors, for taking part and for sponsoring this amazing Facebook Live, also live on YouTube, also live on my Twitter at Skating PJ. And we are going to be talking today about so much skating. It's just going to be fantastic. Our first guest is Olympic bronze medalist and world champion Donald Jackson, along with his beautiful bride, Barbara, who I like to call Mr. and Mrs. Glamorous. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. We're looking forward to this.
We are too. And I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions or comments, make sure that you leave them in the chat. We're going to try and get to as many of them as we can. My next guest needs no introduction. He is probably the best figure skating blogger on the planet. He has just released a book, The Almanac of Canadian Figure Skating, and it is a #1 Amazon bestseller. I'd like everyone to please welcome Ryan Stevens. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. and Mrs. Glamorous are here. Ryan's here. I'm here. We might as well get started. And we're here, as I said, thanks to our sponsor community, the Community app, for looking after us for this particular Facebook Live. Let's get right into skating. I mean, we're 3 skating friends. That's what we're going to talk about. So, Don and Barb, let me find out first, what is your connection to the ice? What do you love about skating, both of you?
I guess I love skating because I have a lot of friends that I can see. I love when I was amateur skating carnivals and skating shows, and I like to work with young skaters and get them to enjoy it and have fun.
Ryan, what's your connection to skating and why write a book? Wait a second, let me get the book out. Wait, Don and Barb also have your book. I know
we have it here too.
Right here.
And here's mine too. There we go. There. All right.
Perfect.
I mean, I used to be a skater back in the day and absolutely loved it. Loved performing to music. That was my favorite part about it. And I love being involved in a different way now and telling all these stories that don't get told. And writing the book was such a fun experience because I really wanted to kind of get those facts and figures out there that weren't accessible in a lot of ways, and also just to kind of shed some light on some of the lesser known figures of the sport and talk about some of the people that are well known and the things that people don't know about them. So it was a lot of fun.
It sure was a lot of fun. And as a writer, as a figure skating writer, you have no idea the agony for me in trying to locate facts. There was no comprehensive guide until now to be able to sort of access that information. So that part is a bit of a thrill for me, selfishly, but I know for everybody else it is too. So it comes in hardback and it comes in paperback. And we are going to be having a trivia session sort of a little bit later on in our show. And people are going to be able to sort of think their way through our trivia questions on Kahoot. And we've got a PIN number for you to be able to join the Kahoot trivia contest. We're going to put that up on our board. And then you're playing for a free book. Ryan, thank you so much for that.
I'm happy to do it. It'll be fun.
So, Don, I want to start with you. Let's talk. I've always been curious about this question. Jackson Skates. Is the Jackson and Jackson Skates Don Jackson? And how did that start?
Well, I had a friend who, when I was skating, Max Gould, I think a lot of people probably know him here. And he was like an agent before we had any agents, that worked like the skaters have today. And when I was skating in the ice show, he said, Don, you've got a big name. Why don't you use it? And he had a contact with skating shoes man. And we got together, and my brother, Bill, and myself and Max went over to Prague because that's where this company was that made shoes. And so they saw me, and of course, that's where I won the world championships in Prague, Czechoslovakia. So they were willing to almost get on their hands and knees to make things work. And so they made a boot for me, never making a skating boot before. And unfortunately, the first one, they didn't have the support that we needed for our skates. And so we had to start all over again. And they were willing to start all over. So I showed them, explained what was wrong with the other ones. They made them. And I wore the first ones of the Don Jackson, the skating boot. And I'm still wearing it. Not different one, but
I was going to say probably not those
started
boots.
with the Don Jackson skating boot, and I went around skating shows and seminars and promoting it at the same time. My brother was what was he?
He had a business degree.
He had a business degree, so he ran the business. And my mother and my father worked in the office and the stock room, and so it was a family business. And I, for years, just skated shows and promoted skating and skating a lot of seminars. And we've done well with the boot. It's still a good boot. And in fact, as I said, I'm still wearing them.
You know what?
Barbara
I am
too.
too. I have Jackson boots.
Good.
So Ryan, one of the things that sort of I'm sure was the impetus for you writing the book was all of the Canadian firsts. And as we know, Don Jackson is very significant as far as firsts are concerned. Can you talk to me a little bit about that before I ask him about what it was like in the rink?
Well, I think when it comes to Don Jackson's career, I think what's so significant is not only was he the first man to do the triple Lutz in competition. It took a decade or more for the other men to catch up. If you watch, if you go back and find videos from the 1964 Olympics, 68 Olympics, 72 Olympics, these men weren't doing that jump. So it was that far ahead of its time in terms of skating history. It was really, really quite incredible. Not just the Lutz, there were 2 triples in that program. So that was really quite unheard of for that time. And I think in terms of other firsts, I mean, if you go back and watch that 1962 program, just the musicality. I mean, again, if you watch the later Olympics, it just wasn't present. So both on the technical and the artistic side, it was really so far ahead of its time.
So
Thank
Don,
you.
it kind of
You're
begs
welcome.
the question, what was it like in the arena that very first time you landed that triple Lutz in competition?
Well, everybody in the building, I think, knew about the skating because Karel Devine from Czechoslovakia had a good chance of being the champion, and so therefore they knew what I was going to do. They knew what Karel was doing, and Karel was ahead of me in the school figures by quite a few points. And but anyhow, I went out and I did the first triple Lutz. It was the first jump in my program. And the nice thing about it was that Mr. Galbraith, Sheldon Galbraith, was my coach. And I went out for the practice in the warm-up before I skated, and the warm-up felt good. And he said to me, Don, he said, if you feel like doing it, do it. And of course, if I had landed on 2 feet or fallen or cheated, I probably wouldn't have won, but that wasn't important. The important thing was going out there and doing what I trained for. And so I got out there and I did land the triple Lutz. And all I could think of after, well, it's the past now. And I saw years ago a skater land one of their best jumps. And they were so excited about it. They looked at the audience and lost their concentration and tripped. I wasn't going to do that. But I couldn't hear the music until the other end of the rink. However,
Wow.
I was able to listen to it in my mind because I had gone through the program so many times every day.
You know what's so interesting? When I listen to competitors talk about competing, they're in the moment, they're on the ice, they're focused on what you're doing. But as I understand, you're also a grandpa who's watching a grandson skate. Talk to me about the difference about being on the other side of the boards during a competition?
Well, I've got 12 grandchildren, and they're all
Wow.
doing
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
I'm so
yeah.
proud of them all. The one's a
We
lawyer.
have a lawyer and some fantastic students and a swimmer and a skater and a couple of hockey players. They're just terrific kids, all of them.
Yeah.
And they all adore their grandpa. And now
Of
they're all old
course.
enough, yeah, to look him up online, and they read every word, and they're so proud of him. And hopefully one day there'll be great grandchildren that'll look him up with the same kind of love and pride. But
Well,
Is it
it
more nerve-wracking to watch than it was to compete? What is the experience like?
well, I have only seen him
yeah,
once,
he's
and
not living in our city.
he's living in another city. But I
Yeah,
have
sure.
seen videos of him at his practice time, and I think he's doing quite well. And I think that in the he's got a competition coming up in the new year, his very first one. And I think he should do, okay,
He's doing
because he's been working hard, and he's in. And the thing I like about all my children, is that they're in the sport they love, not because they were told to, not because they have to, because they love it. And that's the most important thing.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to one more time thank our sponsor, the Community app, for sponsoring this episode. And I also want to let everybody know that the Community app is launching part of their app dedicated to coaches, and to coaches being able to find a second revenue stream. We're going to have a Facebook Live from Winnipeg. I'm going to be there at the challenge this whole weekend. So live at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. The Community app is going to be launching their coaching app. If you want to find out more information, just go and put your name on the wait list if you are a coach. And if not, you can also go to community.app if you want more information. Okay, here's the other thing I want to say. Ryan, and I'm going to ask Dawn the same thing. Any funny stories that you came across that made you sort of sit up and take notice as you were looking for stories?
For the book, funny stories. That's a very good question. I don't. I think the funniest part weren't so much the stories that I found, but just the process of me trying to find some of this information. I got so stuck so many times that I honestly threw my hands up a few times and was like, I can't even do this section. But so I think it was more the process being funny. But I come across hilarious stories all the time when I'm working on the blog, though. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. One of my favorite ones, and it's not relevant to the book, but back in the 19th century, in Illinois,
when I was a girl,
it was in Springfield, Illinois, I believe. It was called the Fat Men Skating Contest, and they rounded up all the most robust men in the town, and they had a competition, and I guess it was quite a big deal. So that was one of the funniest stories I ever came across when I was researching for the blog.
I love how you said robust. That's such a kindly word.
I was trying to find a kindly word.
So, Dawn, you were in the show. Like, were there any show stories that sort of like made you think, were there any close calls that you didn't make it, almost didn't make it on the ice on time? What was it like backstage in the show?
Well, in the ice volleys that I was in for 7 years, the first time when I skated in Toronto, it was more or less my hometown because I was born in Oshawa, but I represented the Toronto Cricket Skating and Curling Club when I won. In any case, I was standing on the ice just before my performance, before the music started, and I got an extra special introduction by the people at the rink. And the rink was the old, I guess, Maple Leaf Gardens. And at the front, I was looking at while I was standing there, was the big picture of the Queen Elizabeth. So in any case, I started my music, which they started with a live orchestra that traveled with the ice volleys. And
wow.
the the music I skated to was Carmen, but I didn't do the triple Lutz. But I did do an axel, tucking my feet up and jumping over a maple leaf, and then stopping in front. And what happened is I jumped, landed, and fell on my bottom, slid to the little barrier they put on, pulled myself up, and all I could see was the Queen Mother, the Queen sitting there. But many years later, I did meet the Queen, and I was still thinking of that. Oh, I'm so sorry.
For
That's
sure.
my funny story.
I want to remind everybody that we're going to be doing a trivia contest in about 10 minutes time or so. And if you win the trivia contest, then guess what? Ryan is going to send you a free book. Wait, everybody, the three of us, we need to get our books up again.
Okay. Let's do it.
Books up.
The Almanac of Canadian Figure Skating, and where we got all these great questions for Don, who is our skater in residence this month. So Don and Barb and Ryan, do you have any favorite skating moments, either your own or somebody else's? I'm going to start with you, Don.
Favorite skating moments.
I've got
guess
one
it's a
that I
very
know
good-
about from you,
well,
and that is about seeing Patrick Chan in Ottawa
Oh,
when he was a little wee kid.
5 years old in the
Yeah.
can skate group. You
Oh,
never know who's in your can skate
Oh, that's
group.
right too. That was a.
Mhm.
I was teaching in Ottawa, and there was a little boy in my can skate group, and that happened to be Patrick Chan. And then many years later, I worked with him along with Ozzy Colson, and well, you know Patrick, he did
He did
very,
okay.
very well. And if you
He
don't
did
know
okay.
about him, all you have to do is check this.
That's absolutely right. And you have to join our Kahoot trivia in order to maybe get a free book. Okay, Ryan, do you have any favorite moments?
Do you know something? I can tell you one of my favorite moments from when I was skating. Every year we had our club ice show, and the very last, I'd always kind of did, back then everyone skated to movie soundtracks and everything all the time, but I kind of picked this lyrical piece of music, and my last time I ever performed in front of an audience was my best performance, and I think to be able to look back on that, and have that memory is so special. So that's my favorite skating moment. But in terms of watching other people, gosh, I enjoy watching skating so much, and it would be so hard to choose because I feel like
Me too.
each year someone does something to top what they do, what I saw the year before, and that's what's so wonderful about the sport.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. There are so many moments. And every time, you're right, you see something spectacular on the ice, you think, okay, I'm never going to top that. And my playlist in my brain keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I see more and more outstanding skating. But you know what? You made an interesting point when you were talking about Ottawa and seeing Patrick Chan and coaching. Tell me a little bit about that transition from skater to coach, Don.
Well, I think I was very fortunate because after I turned professional, I went into the ice follies, and it was structured
Yes,
for
that's
7
a
years.
structured life.
And
Mhm.
I went to Banff, Alberta to work with Osborne Colson because he was helping me with the choreography of my new program. And also Osborne had the first team coaching. So I was part of his team while I was there. And I learned a great deal from the coaches he had on his team. We all got together and said what we were going to work on and what we did with the skaters. And it was an education for me. And of course, skating all these seminars around the country and around the world, I was able to teach a little bit, learn, and so
Still keep performing.
it gave me, and still skate the performance, and it gave me a good background. So it wasn't too big of a change to go into just coaching, although I really didn't get into just coaching because I skated for many, many years.
Yeah.
In fact, up to 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I was able to jump, and then I had a fall putting a little sticker on a little kid's helmet that was in my can skate group, and my legs went out from under me. I went down, hit my head, and got a concussion, and I'm still off
4
balance,
stitches.
but I still have my support right here.
Now we're
When
that
we
little
skate.
old couple that skates around.
Who, by the way, did a change? What did you do? Sit, change, sit the other day?
Oh,
Barb?
me? Yeah. My best skating moment is still to come because I've gone back and it's so much harder than I ever expected it was going to be. But I'm working
It's
on it. I
hard.
have a great coach and I have a great assistant coach, and I'm having a lot of fun. Lots
That's-
of hilarity and low expectations.
That is the way to do things. That's for sure. Ryan, have you got any coaching stories that either you've come across or that are in the book?
There are a ton of coaching stories that are in the book. I really wanted to include not just skaters, but coaches and judges and builders as well. So two of the coaches that I think everybody has some sort of a connection to, it feels like, in this country, are Mr. Colson and Mrs. Burka. They're both in there. Sheldon Galbraith is in there.
Right.
Otto Gold, and also all of the coaches who came. There were a lot of international coaches, especially in the early days, that came to Toronto or Ottawa to work with the earliest skaters. So they're all in there. And the great thing about the book is it kind of gives you an idea. If you can kind of trace through all the coaches' bios who they taught, so you can kind of make you can kind of put together a bit of a family tree if you kind of work through the book and find out who coached who. So it's really interesting.
When we think about Ontario and Ontario's legacy, it's about half the medals or more, wouldn't you say, Ryan, to do with Olympic medals and world titles?
Amazing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think if you go back, I know that I feel like the first Olympic.
I've got it right in front of me. I have
Yeah.
my cheat sheet.
Yeah, go with the cheat sheet because my brain is not working. Maybe I should have put something in this hot chocolate.
1932, Montgomery
It might
Wilson from the Toronto Skating Club, Olympic bronze in 1932.
That's right. That would have been the first one. And for women, it would have been Barbara Ann Scott, 1948. And for pairs, it would have been Barbara Wagner and Bob Hall in 1960.
And there have been so many, I mean, there are many more men medalists than anybody else. Men and pairs are what Canada has excelled in, it appears to be. And there was a percentage that you did for me, which of course I've left on my printer, but that basically Ontario is responsible for like half the medals that Canada has won at the Olympic Games, actually more than half. There are 29 medals at the Olympic Games, and I need to take off my shoes and socks in order to be able to count them all up on my cheat sheet, which I should have done before the session. So it's a pretty outstanding legacy. Don, did it mean something special to you to come from Ontario?
Well, I was lucky because in Ontario at the Oshawa Skating Club, the president of the Skate Canada, or at that time Canadian Figure Skating Association, was Dick McLaughlin. He was also a world judge, and he was over in Europe when Eddie Corelli from Hungary left Hungary and was looking for a place to come. He was also a civil engineer, and anyhow, without even knowing him, except that Eddie skated against Dick Button, he was second to Dick Button in the World Championships, and also at the same time with his partner in pairs. He was world pair champion. Anyhow, he came to Oshawa, and he was wonderful. He gave me the love of skating that I had, and he gave me the best foundation I could have looked for. And he just a great guy. Everyone loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And can
Do
you
you
add
know
anything
that-
to that, Barb?
Oh, and Eddie and Don stayed in touch for Eddie's whole life. And,
His whole life, yes.
he was living in Peterborough when he was older. And
You know,
in fact, we visited a lady in Peterborough that we knew and also had been very good friends with Eddie. And
Yes.
she had a sweater she had put away after Eddie passed away, knit by Don's mom, and she got it out. And Don's mom had knit matching sweaters for him and for Eddie, and then we got the sweater back. It fits Don beautifully. So
It's great.
lovely to have
I
it.
wear it now.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. We have a great comment that I want to share with you. It's not a question, it's a comment, but it's something that we're all going to recognize. It's from Linda Dupuis Pepin. She says, I was teaching skating
Schumacher.
in Timmins from 1986 to 1996. The Schumacher Arena has so much Canadian and international skating history. It was so much fun to get a tour and see the patch rooms. I remember Schumacher. I remember all kinds of friends of mine going to Schumacher in the summertime. Was Schumacher around when you were a skater as well, Don?
You were there.
Yes, I was there. I trained there too.
You did your first.
Did you?
lessons there, right?
I did my first.
Triple lessons up there.
Maybe, yeah. Barbara says I did my first triple lutses up there. I might have tried them at least, and fell.
You know what? Yeah, I know. Well, listen, that's what skating is. Is a lot of time spent getting up from falling is probably the best thing. Ryan, are there any firsts that have jumped out to you as you were doing the research for the book,
First,
especially Ontario one?
I feels like there's a first on every single page. But I think the one thing that I always love highlighting is diversity in skating. I don't think it gets highlighted enough. I know that in the book, one of the stories that I shared, and it's incredibly sad, but it's an incredibly important story. It's about one of the first people of color in Canada to coach at a skating club, and they weren't treated very well. But I think that it's important that it's in there. And as well, I mean, all of these, there's so many stories about women skating, especially in the early days, at the very beginning of the century. And I really wanted to highlight those stories as well, because it was very much a man's game when skating first started out here in the country. So I think that those are really important stories. So they really stood out.
I think you're right. Don, there's another quick comment just for you. And it's just basically from Linda saying they still have your photos on the wall, Don, in Schumacher.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, I haven't been there for years, but I did enjoy it there because all you could do was skate, and you didn't have any other anything bothering you. I remember Mr. Galbraith when I think I went in the car to where they had some music outside of the city, and he found out that I was there, and he was just upset because I should have been rested.
Yeah, there is that. So I have, we're going to talk a little bit more sort of about coaching, and I want to find out what the best advice was that you gave as a coach and that you received from a coach. And I just want to remind everybody that our sponsor community is putting on a Facebook Live session and on our YouTube page, YouTube channel as well, this coming Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that will be to discuss the launch of their new coaching program. And this is a way for coaches to make some additional revenue. So get on the wait list now. We're going to be launching the program on Thursday at 7 p.m. So, Don, my question. Best advice you gave as a coach, best advice you received from a coach.
Well, I guess the best advice I would give a skater is to skate only, if they're loving it and having fun. And, the competitions you can go into and you can enjoy whether you come first or second or 10th, it doesn't matter. As long as you, I could have fallen in Prague because I tried my jump, the triple Lutz, but I was fortunate to land it. But even by landing it, I still could have been second, and that wouldn't have mattered because I was happy that I skated the best I could.
It's not about beating.
It's not about beating people. So that's the best advice I can give them. And what was the other part of the question?
What was the best advice you got from a coach?
Well, I think the best advice was a coach. It was Sheldon Galbraith in Prague, and I had a good practice. I skated all my jumps in the practice to warm up, and when I came off, he said, "Don, if you feel like it and you feel good, do your jump." And it was so nice to have someone that supported, a coach that gave you the support, because he could have said, "Well, no, Don, it's not safe enough. You you better play it safe and not do it. And when he told me that to go and try it if you feel good, I said, I'm going to land it. In other words, I'm going to try it. And I think that a coach should always support their skaters.
Fantastic. Ryan, were you surprised at the number of coaches that have come from Ontario? I mean, we are just this amazing pocket in the country. Between 40% of the country skaters are in Ontario, and 80% of the national team comes from where? Ontario. So that must mean that our coaches are second to none as well. Any ideas, any stories about coaches?
Well, you know something, I think I would want to start by saying I'm not from Ontario. I'm from a much smaller section. And I think what baffled me, certainly when I was working on the book, were just how many champions come from the province of Ontario. It's honestly just ridiculous. Pretty much everybody, certainly in the early days. I know the province I'm from, we've had one Olympic medalist, one world medalist. Very proud of Rob McCall here in
As
Nova
you should be.
Scotia. But I mean, you have a whole list of amazing skaters from Ontario. So certainly something to be really, really proud of. I think the things that surprised me about the coaches were how many skaters that perhaps didn't win Olympic medals, but were certainly elite skaters here in Canada, went on to work with a number of other skaters. I mean, there are a lot of coaches that don't necessarily get a lot of recognition because maybe they aren't coaching a world champion these days, but they're working with a whole generation of athletes, and that's happening not just in Ontario, but across the country.
All right, my friends, it has come to this. It is just about time for our trivia contest. We, of course, are not allowed to play because, well, between the three of us, we know everything.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either, but I just thought I would, be fancy by saying it. What I would like to do is to invite, we want a few more people to join us on our Kahoot. It's Kahoot is the name of the site. And it's our trivia contest. And what is it that they're going to win, Ryan?
They are going to win a copy of my brand new book, The Almanac of Canadian Figure Skating. And it's a wonderful Christmas gift. So if you already have your copy, you can gift it to someone else or get Santa to do it for you.
Do you know what? That's great. And actually, I'm going to do something that was highly unprofessional, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is, I'm going to take a picture of the three of us with our books up. Okay, you ready?
Yes,
Everybody
I
ready?
love it.
Wait, I'm blocking my phone with my thing. Wait, somebody needs to take a screenshot of me from the outside here. No, this isn't working. Maybe. All right, well, we'll do my best. Okay, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. It's hard to know. But I just think that we're going to wait one more minute. We're going to go over to Kahoot. We want everybody to join in. And remember, you get a chance to win a free book from Ryan. So we're going to be taking your real name at the end. If Starlight isn't your real name, that's one of our players. And then we're going to do whatever. So how it works is the questions come up on the screen, and then you just answer them as quickly as possible, and it will do a tally of who is in the lead, who's not. And we're going to see. And Vincent Van Goat, by the way, is our mascot from Skate Ontario. He's not playing either because he's super smart, but everybody else is. Okay, so let's go over to the starting screen. Oh, look, this is so stressful because I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but we're going to do our best. We're going to press start, and we're going to just go. Here we go. You ready? Everybody ready? John, Barb,
I guess so.
Ryan. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it works. Woo, Kahoot.
Kahoot.
What is it?
Oh, and I have to turn the sound on. Oh, did I do this wrong?
Oh, it's going to be audio.
Oh.
Okay, Canadian champions Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier were co-inventors of a compulsory dance in 2016. What was it called? The Maple Leaf March, the Maple Syrup Merengue, the Tim Hortons Triple Triple Tango, or the Canada Goose Cha-Cha? Put your answers in now. You've got 9 seconds left. Come on, everybody, just guess. Just guess. Put in your answer. There's one answer. That's good. One more second. And the answer is the Maple Leaf March. So one person got all the bananas there on that one. And then we're going to go to our next question. Do you see how this works? How much fun is this? All right, you ready? Ryan, can you read the next one?
Sure.
Here we go. Oh, wait, sorry. Jan has taken an early lead. Vincent Van Gogh, 0. Cindy and Starlight.
Jan.
I see it.
Way to go, Jan.
This is
Okay,
horrible.
are you ready?
Yeah,
Here we
yeah.
go.
Do we have to touch something?
I don't know.
Who was the first skater to land a triple Lutz in the novice and junior men's event
Oh,
at the
good
Canadian
question.
I
Championships?
don't know.
Brian Orser, Vern Taylor, Gary Beacom, or Kurt Browning?
Good question.
Lock in your answers. You've got 11 seconds left. 2 answers. Remember, you're playing for a book. You're playing for this book. Free in time for the holidays. And the answer is Vern Taylor.
Oh,
Look, everybody got it right except for Vincent Van Gogh, honestly. So we're going to take a look at the leaderboard. Seems to still be Jan. I'm not sure why it's not updating. There we go. We're going to keep going. Okay, Ryan, again.
Barbara Ann Scott gave up a car given to her by the city of Ottawa to compete at the 48 Winter Olympics. What color was the car? Sky blue, fire engine red, canary yellow, or forest green?
10 seconds to log in your answer. Sky blue, fire engine red, canary yellow, or forest green. Give it a guess. 3 seconds. 2 and 3 people said canary yellow, and they were right.
oh,
You're right.
Okay, let's go to let's see if our leaderboard is working now.
Maybe
That's
it will
weird.
update at the end.
Maybe. Jan is still in the lead. Question 4 of 9. Way to go. Go ahead, Ryan.
What was the first year Parade of Champions was held at the Canadian Championships? 1969, 1973, 1976, or 1977?
First year Parade of Champions was held back in the dark ages. Okay, 3 answers. You got. Okay, and the right answer is 1973. One person got it right. Let's see. Look, it's fixing finally. Okay, Kimmy's jumped
Okay.
into the lead with 630. Okay. Our next question, question 5. Go, Ryan.
Which of these Canadian world champions appeared on an episode of the Murdoch Mysteries? Kurt Browning, Elvis Stoico, Jeffrey Buttle, or Patrick Chan?
I've actually seen this episode.
Me too.
Me
I'm a
too.
Murdoch Mysteries fan, so I had to put
Yeah,
that in
so
there.
are we.
Log in your answer. 2, 1, and the correct answer is Elvis Stoico, and nobody got the correct answer.
Oh, we did.
Interesting. And you know what? He's now an actor and a singer. So that's one of the things that he's gone on to in his life. All right, here we go. And next.
Who were the first pair to win gold at a world championships that were held in Canada? Francis Defoe and Norris Bowden, Maria and Otto Jelinek, Isabel Bashir and Lloyd Eisler, or Barbara Wagner and Robert Paul?
Robert, I don't know if it was
Worlds in Canada.
Let's see. We know the answer.
I know one.
And 2 of them got it right. Barbara Wagner and Robert Paul.
That was in Canada.
And it was worlds that were held in Vancouver, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
1960.
That's right. All right. Oh, I keep looking for someone else to press next, and I'm actually the one that has to do that. Okay, Jan is in the lead, back in the lead with 1,203 points.
Wow.
Kimmy with 1,159. It is close. There are 9 questions in total. Here's question number 7.
Which province holds the record for the most Canadian synchro or precision skating titles? Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, or British Columbia?
Okay, Ryan, this one's a bit of a gimme. 6 seconds
Just
left to
maybe.
lock in your answers. And the answer is Ontario. Everybody got that question right.
Right.
That's fantastic.
After the talk.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got Cindy T on the leaderboard now. Look how close that is. Just 1 point separates Jan and Kimmy.
Oh, that's
It is
wild.
a battle
Wow.
for that free book. Here we go.
Amazing.
From 1976 to 1981, CTV broadcasted a skating show called Stars on Ice. What Canadian presenter was the show's host? Lloyd Robertson, David Suzuki, Alex Trebek, or Edith Prickley?
Maybe one, yeah.
What's your best guess, people? 3 seconds left. Alex Trebek was the answer. I was voting for Edith Prickley myself, but
That would have been a great
nevertheless,
show. I would have watched it.
I would have watched it twice. Here's our leaderboard. 1 point separating still Jan and Kimmy. I think it comes down. Is this our last question?
I think so.
This is for the free book.
Donald
Go,
Jackson landed the first triple Lutz of the 1962 Worlds. What was the next jump in his winning program? Double loop, double flip, double sow cow, or double toe loop?
Go through it.
I am.
It's for the, there's only 1 point between Jan and Kimmy. Who's it going to be? One answer, 2 answers, and you're out of time. And it was a double flip. All right,
I didn't
everybody.
know that.
I watched the program again. I had to.
We watched it today too.
Thanks to Ryan for giving us all of these fantastic questions. Let's see our leaderboard. In third, Cindy T, congratulations with 661 points. In second, Kimmy with 1868 points, and our champion, skater in residence Kahoot, Jan, 1,869 points.
Wow.
Excellent.
We would like to thank Starlight and Vincent Van Gogh for playing. You were not very good, Vincent Van Gogh. Seriously, I'm going to give you a talking to in Winnipeg at the challenge. What we want to do is, Jan, if you could message, how can we do this? If you could, I'm going to find out from our backstage producer how we can get your name. And if you could just message us with your name. No, here we go. I completely am lying. This is what I need you to do. I need you to go to communications at skateontario.org and please send us your name and mailing address, and we will pass it along to Ryan, and Ryan will be happy to send you a book. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you so much for playing.
Good.
All right. So communications at skateontario.org. That is for Jan to send us her details for that free book. I want to just emails. That's right. Just emails. Harpreet in the backstage there, who's keeping us all honest and keeping us organized. She's the one that told us that. I would like to know if there are any final thoughts from each of you. Ryan, I'm going to go with you first.
Final thoughts. Just that I've been enjoying the skating season. I can't even talk. So much this year. It's been great to see the Grand Prix in full swing and Skate Canada back. And I hope that you will pick up a copy of the book if you have not already. It would be a fantastic Christmas gift. And there's so much interesting information about Canadian figure skating in there. And how much fun has it been to get to hear Don Jackson and Barb and PJ all talking tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
So we have one comment actually again from Linda. She wants to know, where can they purchase the book?
So it's available if you're here in Canada. It's available on Amazon. You can get it in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle ebook. If you're looking to get the hardcover version, there is a bit of a lead time. So I'd recommend getting your order in right away if you'd like to have it by Christmas. Paperback ship within a couple of days, so you'll get that really quickly if you have that Prime membership. And Kindle, of course, you get instantly. And if you're down in the States, it's also available on Barnes & Noble.
Fantastic. Okay, Dawn, maybe you can give us maybe your top 3 reasons why people should skate.
Okay, I think that probably the first one is that it keeps you healthy and gives you some exercise, especially if you love it, which is maybe a second thing that is very important. and also you meet so many friends with the same interests. And we went to a international
Adult.
adult competition, and I met a lady who was, they were all wonderful, but a lady that was still skating in the competition at 86 years old. So it shows you how
Wow.
long you can
It
enjoy
was
this
so
sport.
supportive. It was like a week-long group hug. It was
That's
just
right.
wonderful. That's skating for life, you know.
Adult skaters are the best.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I want to just say that I cannot thank the three of you enough for joining us today. We are so excited to have had you. The fact that you are an Ontario legend for us, Don Jackson, is something that we can't even say enough about. So thank you so much for having been the skater in residence. If you want to read Don's blog, and I know that there's another one coming when he gets a chance, because this is one busy guy, but go to our website, and we'll also post on social media again the link to Don's Skater in Residence blog. You'll love it. It's talking about
Great read.
some of his stories. Yeah, exactly. Just a fantastic sort of look back on time. So Bonnie Lynn Porter, she gets the last word, and that is thank you for a very entertaining evening. I could not have said it better. So what I want to say to everybody is thank you so much for joining us, Ryan Stevens. Thank you, Barb and Don Jackson. You guys are fantastic. And I want to thank our sponsors, Community App, for sponsoring this wonderful evening. We are going to be launching our Skate Ontario / Community App program for coaches as a secondary revenue stream for them, and it's not going to cost them anything. That's 7 p.m. on Thursday from the challenge, the Skate Canada Challenge. I'm going to be there covering all of the action for our Skate Ontario team. We have over 50 athletes competing in junior and senior events, looking for their berth to the Canadian Championships, which are also taking place in the Skate Ontario backyard in Oshawa in January. So make sure that you join me in Winnipeg. And thanks again to community, and we'll talk soon. Thanks very much, everybody. And
Thank
bye
you.
for now.
Thank you.
Bye, PJ. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.